One's ready. One's ready. Go! So you guys are going into special warfare assessment selection. It is an attributes-based selection model. What does that mean?
Guys, are we running right now to get fitter? Are we practicing running? Practicing.
I can't freaking...
So there's a holistic picture that we're looking for. The instructors are giving you input, and we're expecting an output. And everything is for a reason. If you guys haven't heard my spiel yet, everything that we do, every single exercise, has a connection to the job that you're trying to do. We don't want people at INDOC, Special Warfare Assessment Selection, whatever they're gonna call the new course when it inevitably changes somewhere down the road. I don't care what they call it. What I need is you to show me the raw materials for the things that I wanna build you into. Just like everything else, it's a crawl, walk, run.
I can run a keystone just like this. All the way to ATC, you never quit. All the way to ATC, you never quit.
Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 23rd of July. If you guys are wondering what that is when you start hearing Aaron talk, if you're on YouTube, you'll see that it is kind of like a minute-long preview of what our operator training summits are like. You can expect one day in the pool, 10 to 12 hours, and the other day is all day on land doing rucking, running, mobility, nutrition, academics, all that kind of good stuff. So our operator training summit, our next one is going to be in Nashville in October. If you want any more information on it, email me at jared@onesready.com, or you can leave a comment, and then I will also drop my email on there and then get you information out there. But it's going to be a fun event. The intent of it is to provide instruction, mentorship, and work on your efficiency. It is not a smoke session. It is not a hell week or a hell weekend or a hell day or anything like that, right? There won't be any yelling or anything like that. However, if you are an asshole, then we probably will yell, but you know, that's something different. Also, guys, please check out Tasty Gains for creatine gummies, nootropics. They also have pre-workout gummies and a hydration type gummy. So, if you guys, there are a bunch of scams out there for sure, but we have already verified through a third party that we are good to go with Tasty Gains. So we like it and highly recommend it. All right, now on to the joint news. Talisman Sabre 2025 success. The United States Department of Defense highlighted the growth and participation in new capabilities in Talisman Sabre 2025, the largest bilateral military exercise between Australia and the United States, involving the U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps. The exercise focused on enhancing interoperability to ensure free and open Indo-Pacific region and establish regional security. DoD noted that the event demonstrated advanced joint operations contributing to deterrence and stability in the region. Next, China and Russia destabilizing Africa. DoD officials stated that China, Russia, and terrorist networks are contributing to instability in Africa through various activities. This assessment underscores the need for enhanced U.S. partnerships and counterterrorism efforts to address these threats. The focus remains on monitoring and mitigating foreign influences that undermine regional security. You know, Aaron and I actually talked about this a couple weeks ago about all the things that are going on in Africa. And it's crazy when you actually think about it and you're, well-versed in Africa and that kind of stuff. But China has so much influence all over the continent of Africa. Like it's actually a scary thing to think about. Anyway, next, Southern Star 2025 exercise, Latin America's premier multinational special operations exercise, Southern Star 2025, brought together elite troops from 6 nations, demonstrating U.S. integration with international partners to achieve common objectives. The event highlighted joint power projection and cooperation in Chile. It emphasized the DoD's commitment to hemispheric security and interoperability. Hemispheric security. Okay. I haven't heard that one before. USNS Comfort Mission, a U.S. naval ship Comfort Mission in Dominican Republic. The USNS Comfort, a Mercy-class hospital ship, departed the Dominican Republic after completing its fourth continuing Promise 2025 mission stop. The operation provided medical aid and strengthened partnerships in the region as part of the broader humanitarian and joint efforts. Cool. I mean, obviously I knew that there were hospital-class ships or called Mercy-class hospital ships, but I didn't know that we kind of have them going back and forth, especially to the Dominican Republic that often. All right, Reform Pack 2025 Pacific Exercise. U.S. allies launched the largest Pacific air exercise, Resolute Force Pacific 2025, or Reform Pack, involving over 12,000 personnel and 350 aircraft across the U.S. and Indo-Pacific. The exercise tests large-scale operations in contested environments, enhancing joint readiness. It integrates space capabilities and to prepare for potential conflicts. Next, National Best Warrior Competition. Competitors in the 2025 National Best Warrior Competition endured more than 20 events testing tactical expertise, mental agility, and physical endurance. Arizona and Utah Army Guard members won the event, showcasing joint service excellence. The competition highlights DoD priorities in warfighting or warfighter development across branches. Next, Secretary of Defense announces general and flag officer nominations. The Secretary of Defense announced nominations for key military leadership roles, including Navy Vice Admiral Frank Bradley for U.S. Special Operations Command and Air Force Lieutenant General Anderson, I'll just say Dagvin, I think is his first name, for U.S. Africa Command. These promotions reinforce strategic command structures, and operational oversight. Next, DoD tightens oversight on IT consulting contracts. Well, that's probably as a result of the Microsoft cloud-based Chinese engineers. If I had to guess, but what the hell do I know? The DoD issued a directive requiring more stringent oversight of information technology consulting and management services and advisory contracts. The effort aims to reduce over-reliance on external contractors and increase accountability in high-value programs. All right, this is Air Force news. F-15EX deployment to Grenada. 2 F-15EX Eagle IIs aircraft from the United States Air Force deployed to Kadena Air Base, marking progress in Indo-Pacific air power evolution. The visit offers a first look at enhancing capabilities for regional deterrence. Cool. Yeah, Air Force F-35s in the Philippines. They flew from the Philippines for the first time during Cope Thunder exercises. This enhances interoperability with allies in the Pacific and advances shared security objectives. I think we already talked about this in the past, but I could be wrong. KC-46 tanker purchase. The U.S. Air Force decided to purchase 75 additional KC-46 tankers, bypassing a bridge tanker competition. This expands aerial refueling capacity for global operations and prioritizes rapid fleet modernization. Next, Wisconsin Air Guard Exchange Program. The Wisconsin Air National Guard welcomed 2 German Air Force officers to an exchange program. The initiatives foster international cooperation and knowledge sharing and strengthens NATO alliances. Next, B-52 near-miss incident. A near-miss occurred near Minot, North Dakota, involving a B-52 bomber and a commercial airline. Investigations are underway to assess contributing factors and prevent future incidents. I still haven't seen the highlights from this other than the video where of the Delta pilot, and he was basically blaming air traffic control and Minot's air traffic control. But at the same time, I was talking to my brother about this, who's an air traffic controller. You guys have seen him on the podcast before, but like, When we say near miss, how close were these things? Because according to the pilot, that B-52 was still barreling towards the Delta flight, to which if he's coming at him from a perpendicular angle, then that would mean the B-52s should have seen the Delta aircraft. And then what was the altitude of it too? So there's just a lot of questions involving that. Anyway, all right, next, F-35 sorties in Cope Thunder. U.S. Air Force airmen generated F-35 sorties for the first time at Cope Thunder 25-2 in the Philippines. This milestone strengthened U.S.-Philippines alliance and interoperability. Next, Air Force secures major missile support contract. Lockheed Martin received a $999 million indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract to support joint air-to-surface standoff missile and long-range anti-ship missile programs. The contract provides for system upgrades, production, and sustainment. Listen, I am no expert when it comes to acquisitions, procurement, contracts, or anything like that. In fact, I'm a complete, just Neanderthal, right? But I have never heard of an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract before. I don't know how that's a thing. I'm sure there's clauses built in there going hey, at any point with 1 year or 2 years notice, we can dissolve the contract, but it's just kind of weird to me. All right, next, Air Force saves taxpayer dollars, updates fitness standards. The U.S. Air Force implemented new integrated fitness standards for explosive ordnance disposal, or EOD personnel, and announced billions in cost savings from recent reforms. These changes reflect the service's push towards efficiency and modernization. Okay, that is super weird that they would put these two different things, talking about fitness standards for EOD and then saving billions in costs. So why would they put that in the same topic and bundled into the same category? That's so weird to me. All right. Air Force and Space Force meet recruiting targets ahead of schedule. Both services met 2025 recruiting targets 3 months early. The early success demonstrates improved recruitment strategies and leadership initiatives. Now, we've kind of talked about this before, and I have no way to prove it because I'm not in the Air Force recruiting service or anything like that, right? But if you say, and let's just use some fake numbers here, right? You say you want to get 20,000 people into the Air Force in 2025, but then you go, you know what? We're aiming a little high. Let me move it to 15,000 people. But then you surpass the 15,000 people, you still move the goalpost. So it doesn't, that doesn't count for being 100% or over 100% manned. It's just, you can't move the goalpost and then say, hey, look, we won. But again, I don't know if that is actually what happened. That is what I have heard happen. So who knows? All right, this is Space Force News. Canadian general in a leadership role. A Canadian general assumed a senior position at Vandenberg Space Force Base within United States Space Force Command, or Space Command rather, and U.S. Space Force leadership. This strengthens multinational cooperation in space operations and aligns with Space Force goals for integrated space defense. Congratulations, General Officer, sir, ma'am. All right, assuming National Guard missions. Beginning October 2025, the Space Force will assume responsibility for certain space-related missions previously held by the Air National Guard. The transfer, enabled by recent legislative authority, is aimed to centralizing space operations under the Space Force. Next, Space Launch Delta 45 milestones. Space Launch Delta 45 completed 2 more launches, bringing the year-to-date total to 61. These launches support national security missions and demonstrate operational tempo. Next, Resolute Space 2025 exercise highlights readiness. You know what? We've already talked about this one in the past, but it's an exercise that involves over 700 Guardians at Joint Base Pearl Harbor and Hickam, simulating contested space operations. Next, Space Systems Command secures $24.7 million for GPS receiver development. Space Systems awarded BAE Systems a $24.7 million contract to develop new GPS receiver components for the military. The miniaturized receivers will enhance secure and resilient navigation capabilities. All right, these are of interest. Medal of Honor recognition. DoD posthumously honored U.S. Army Corporal Tiber Rubin for heroism. Jeez. I'm sorry, guys. I need some water right now, and I don't have any around me. And I'm talking a lot, so I'm tripping over, which sucks because we're talking about Medal of Honor stuff. This is for Korean War stuff. Rubin's valor and humanitarian acts in captivity were emphasized during the recognition ceremony. Also, thinking about that, are you guys tracking I know Tim Kennedy, we don't like to talk about him and all that kind of stuff, but have you guys seen the recent congressional push to have him and some of the civilian contractors that went to HKI in Afghanistan a couple of years ago, to give them the congressional gold medal? I man, I don't know how you guys feel about that. It's pretty wild that this would have even happened because, there was a lot of good things that were done by active duty and, active duty, guard, civilians, and contracting personnel and private citizens. A lot of good work. But can you really believe anything that Tim Kennedy is involved in now? And especially when you start hearing the reports about them being responsible for 17,000 evacuees, if it sounds too good to be true and sounds too incredible, then it's probably not believable. And if you talk to people that were there, their operations, according to them, allegedly, was quite a distraction and hindered actual operations that the military were trying to do. So I don't know. We'll see if it actually goes through. I just know that if I were him, I would not accept this, and I would I would take myself off of it just based off of all the heat and all the BS that's been going around. But that's me. Of course, I also wouldn't have lied about my shit either, but whatever. All right, next, Golden Dome investment. DoD announced a $175 billion investment. That's right, $175 billion with a B dollar investment in the Golden Dome missile defense system, modeled after Israel's Iron Dome. The initiative seeks to integrate commercial constellations like Amazon's Project Kuiper into global missile detection and interception. All right. That's big boy dollars right there, man. Whew. All right, Space Force 106 mission launch. The Space Force 106 mission will launch abroad a United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket as its first national security payload. The mission supports Space Systems Command and operational testing. Next, all right, I'm going to bolo this one. I already know it. O3B M-Power satellite launch. SpaceX launched 2 SES satellites to medium Earth orbit to support O3B M-Power constellation. The mission enhances DoD relevant communications for military and civilian users. Let's see. Next is duty to warn notification. The U.S. Army issued a duty to warn notification concerning potential threats to retired DoD personnel from the Iraq and Syria conflicts. The advisory urges increased caution, especially in Florida, because we have a lot, just like everybody else, everybody retires in Florida, right? we've got a lot of senior leaders that retired in Florida. All right, next. OpenAI wins $2 million Department of Defense contract. OpenAI signed a $200 million contract with the DoD under the OpenAI for Government initiative supporting defense-focused artificial intelligence development. The contract extends through the middle of 2026. Next, Oracle launches initiative to streamline tech sales to the Pentagon. Oracle introduced the Oral Defense Ecosystem, which assists technology companies in navigating DoD acquisition systems. The program includes access to infrastructure, software, and compliance consulting. All right. Last two. House approves $832 billion 2026 defense budget with pay raises. The House passed the $832 billion fiscal year 2026 defense bill, including a 3.8% pay raise for service members. The bill allocates funding toward readiness, family services, and modernization while reducing operations budget by $7 billion. And then last but not least, tariff concerns emerge at Aspen Security Forum. Defense and tech leaders warn that rising tariffs may disrupt supply chains essential to national security. Forum discussions emphasize bipartisan support for defense tech resiliency and innovation. All right, that's been your daily drop for today. It's kind of long, I think, and hopefully the music in this hotel wasn't coming over the mic. I'll try and get rid of it if it did. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Visit us over on One's Ready. We just had some new merch drop. We've got new hats. We've got Make Aspect War Great Again. We got new slaps. So check us out. All right, see you.